Listen up, Glock haters, because you're about to get triggered. That's right, Glock has come out with a new performance trigger, an OEM replacement trigger for the 9mm variants of the Gen 5 Glock. And it's really, really good. I mean, it really shouldn't surprise you that it's that good, because in my experience, the majority of the best components to quote-unquote upgrade your Glock with were usually made by Glock. Optic notwithstanding, they don't make one, and well, their tack light is a bit dated now, but the rest of the stuff they make, like the extended slide stop off the Glock 34 back in the day, as well as the extended magazine release they had, is phenomenal. Now, one thing to note is that Glock specifies that this trigger should only be installed by a licensed official Glock armorer, so keep that in mind. They're not hard to find. There are dozens and dozens of them in every state, so you'll be sure to find one pretty easily. So what does this trigger do? How does it change the Glock? Well, for a long time, people who didn't like Glock semi-automatic pistols would harp on the trigger. Not that it was heavy, but because it was a bit spongy. It's kind of a symptom of the fact that it's a primarily polymer component. Yes, the linkage bar is not polymer, it's aluminum, but the entire thing has a lot of plastics, there's a lot of flex in it, and it can feel a little bit spongy and a little bit nebulous when you're actually going for the break. This completely changes that. So the Glock Performance Trigger comes in this little box, and this is not actually the trigger, this is the old one. And yes, it's amazing. So in my testing, it changed the break weight of the trigger by about half a pound. It wasn't much, but what it really, really improved was how crisp, just chef's kiss, crisp that trigger breaks. Sure, it's not going to compete with like a $5,000 custom 1911s trigger, but it's very, very good. And the reset also is noticeably shorter and more positive. So you're never going to go click, click, you know, bam, 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 and preemptively pull the trigger and not feel the reset and go, oh, damn it, I didn't get that shot off. It'll never happen. In terms of actual improvement in my shooting, well, I learned to shoot on a Glock 17 Gen 3 that at this point has somewhere around 30,000 rounds through it, and I'm very accustomed to that trigger. And this trigger is markedly better than that, although it is obviously heavier, because after that many rounds, the trigger is very worn in. So is the new Glock Performance Trigger worth the money? It's like $100. Yeah, it definitely is. There are some other aftermarket triggers out there from like Apex and then from like Terran Tactical, and the Terran one especially is a lot more expensive than $100, and this is a very competent trigger. I would really like to see Glock put this as standard issue on all of their guns going forward, and that very well may be the case with a Gen 6 eventually, but as it stands, solid upgrade. If you're going to do any kind of serious work with your Glock, this is a perfect upgrade. You're going to see the shootability of the gun go up tremendously. Your confidence will, accordingly go up as well. And it's not one of those triggers that's so light that you're like, oh, I don't really want this for self-defense because it could look not so great to a jury. No, this thing is basically just a cleaner, crisper version of a factory trigger. And for $100, I mean, why not? Anyway, thanks guys for AmmoLand TV. I'm Jim Grant. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you guys on the flip side.